Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge Systems and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy, which is one of the premier institutions in India, and it offers examination coaching for UPSC CSC, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level and CLAT examinations. About me, I'm Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and my credentials are I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I take up international relations and internal security and the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session is in regards to the DNA of the Hindu newspaper, that is of today's of 6th of February 2021. And throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases, which wherein we will identify the factual, analytical, and conceptual questions which will be useful for the UPSC prelims examinations. And while you imbibe the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing, that is for the mains examinations, your answers would be precise and concise, and you will certainly score higher marks while you imbibe the keywords and the key phrases. And therefore, this session at AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis will help you to crack both prelims and mains examination for the year 2021. And before we get into the DNA of the newspaper, we would focus on the quote of the day. And the quote of the day says that the pain you feel today is the strength you will feel tomorrow. So do not be worried about the pain. Be focused about your strength you will feel tomorrow once you attain success. And the quote of the day, I repeat once again, the pain you feel today is the strength you feel tomorrow. And now we'll get into the DNA of the Hindu newspaper, and the news here. What we would be analyzing is in regards to the keyword ad interim bail. And the Supreme Court here has granted an ad adjudication interim bail to a comedian, that is Munawar Farooqi. And here the Supreme Court has granted the bail, that is ad interim bail, wherein the Madhya Pradesh police has registered a case against him for hurting religious sentiments. And in return, or in response to the case registered by the Madhya Pradesh police against comedian Munawar Farooqi for hurting religious sentiment, the Supreme Court, with a 3-judge bench led by Justice Rohinton Faliman Nariman, has stayed the production warrant issued by the Uttar Pradesh government. So here the Supreme Court has granted an ad interim bail to the comedian and also has stayed a production warrant issued by the Uttar Pradesh government. And here the petitioner is released, that is the comedian Munawar Farooqi is released on ad interim bail on conditions to the satisfaction of the trial court. So the Supreme Court has been released, or has granted an ad interim bail to release the comedian on the conditions, please do understand here, on the conditions to the satisfaction of the trial court. And Justice Nariman, who has led the bench, has said that the allegations against the comedian are vague, and he has also noted that the police has not complied with the procedure which are prescribed in section 41 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Here the focus is in regards to the section 41 of the CRPC. And Justice Nariman has also pointed out that the Supreme Court, which has given a judgment in Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar in the year 2014, and in the judgment in 2014, the Supreme Court has warned the states and the state police, from depriving personal liberty without following due process of law. Here the keyword what we need to focus for both prelims as mains perspective is due process of law. Here the Supreme Court, the bench, has focused on that the police has not complied with the procedure which has to be prescribed, or which is prescribed under section 41 of the CRPC. And it has also pointed out the case which the Supreme Court has given a judgment in the year 2014, which was in regards to the Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar, wherein it's categorically mentioned that in the judgment, the states and the police cannot, or it has warned the states and the police from depriving personal liberty without following due process of law. This is the key word, due process of law. And on January 20th, the Madhya Pradesh High Court has refused the bail, and the comedian or the petitioner has appealed to the top court against the Madhya Pradesh High Court judgment, which has refused the bail to the comedian. Here the focus would be in regards to the section 41 of CRPC and the due process of law. So section 41 is wherein the police arrest a person with the magistrate notice or with the warrant issue. And we will also focus in regards to the due process of law, which is very important for UPSC polity perspective, both for prelims and mains examination. And this is the analysis we are going ahead with, emphasizing on the keywords. Here the keyword is due process of law. It looks very simple or trivial while we are focusing or reading the newspaper, but while we analyze the newspaper, we will understand that how important is the news item, focusing on the keywords both for prelims and mains of UPSC examination. Now we will look at not only in regards to the due process of law, we will also focus at procedure established by law. For UPSC prelims polity perspective, this is what the analysis we are going ahead, so that you are better equipped with the two concepts or the two keywords, that is due process of law and procedure established by law. And the term procedure established by law is used directly in the Indian Constitution, but the due process of law is comparatively a much wider significance, but it is not explicitly mentioned in the Indian Constitution. This is the difference, or what you need to know, what is the procedure established by law means and the due process of law means. The procedure established by law is directly in the Indian Constitution, but whereas the due process of law is not explicitly mentioned in the Indian Constitution, but the due process doctrine or the due process of law is followed in the United States of America. And in regards to the Indian Constitution or India, the Indian Constitution framers have purposely left out that the word or the term called as due process of law. But in the recent judgment of the Supreme Court, we have seen that due process aspect or due process of law aspect is coming at the forefront, and that is because of the Supreme Court trying to highlight not just the case being taken up by the police by taking into consideration the procedure established by law, but the case has to be also taken into consideration by due process of law. So that is the difference between the due process of law and the procedure established by law, which is very crucial even for the mains examination in regards to the issues in governance and polity from GS paper 2 of the mains examination. The due process of law is followed in the United States of America, but it is slowly, gradually coming into the forefront even in India, which is not really explicitly mentioned in Indian Constitution. But the Supreme Court's recent judgment is bringing the due process of law into the limelight. And now we will look at what is actually the procedure established by law. So when we focus at the keyword, the procedure established by law, it means that the law is duly enacted by the legislature or any concerned body which is valid, and it is or it has to be followed the correct procedure. Please do understand here, it is the law which is duly enacted by legislature or the concerned body, and this doctrine, that is procedure established by law, here the doctrine means that a person can be deprived. That means when it is enacted by a legislature or a concerned body, there is a possibility that a person can be deprived of his life or personal liberty according to the procedure established by law, because it is duly enacted by a legislature or a concerned body, and there is a possibility that they can be or they may be that an individual or a citizen of India can be deprived of his life or personal liberty if it is taken into consideration by procedure established by law. Because the parliament, when it passes a law, then the life or personal liberty, of a person can be taken off. Please do understand, can be taken off according to the provisions and the procedure of that particular law. That is why when it is duly enacted, that is the procedure established by law is duly elected by the legislature or the concerned body, then in that sense the parliament can take off the personal liberty of a person according to the provisions and procedures of that law. And the procedure established by law means a law duly enacted and is valid. Please do understand here, and it is valid even if it's contrary to the principles of justice and equity. So we can clearly understand that the principles of justice and equity are missing, or you do not have the place in the procedure established by law, because it is duly enacted by the legislature or the concerned body, or the parliament passes a law wherein in that scenario the parliament can take off the personal liberty of a person according to the provisions and procedure of that law. That means the procedure established by law has the significance that it misses or it is shaved off with the principles of justice and equity. Now we will focus at what is due process of law for prelims as well as mains perspective. And this due process of law doctrine not only checks whether the law deprives the life or the personal liberty of a person, but it also checks that whether the law made is fair, justice, and it is not arbitrary. Please do understand the difference. When it is in regards to the procedure established by law, it can take away or it can take off, shave off the justice and equity of a person and also the personal liberty of a person, because it is enacted by the legislature or a concerned body. And when we focus from due process of law, it takes into consideration that the law protects the personal life and liberty of a person, and not only that, it also makes sure that the particular law is fair, just, and it is not arbitrary. And in case if the law is to be understood by the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court finds that any particular law is not fair, not just, and it is arbitrary, then it will declare it as null and void. And this doctrine, that is due process of law, provides more fair treatment of individual rights. This is a keyword. Fair treatment of individual rights is provided by due process of law rather than the established procedure of law. And under the due process of law, it is the legal requirement that the state must respect, that is, the individual state must respect all the legal rights which are owned by an individual or a citizen, and the laws that states enact must conform to the laws of the land. That is, law of the land is fairness, fundamental rights and liberties. So it is very important that the state must respect all the legal rights and the states must conform to the laws of the land, and it is the legal requirement of the states to take into consideration that particular law is fair, fundamental rights and liberty of an individual is protected. We have looked into not just the keyword while we were just passing, or we were just mentioning about what Justice Nariman has pointed out in the Supreme Court, talking about or mentioning the 2004 judgment of the Supreme Court in Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar, which the Supreme Court has warned the states and the police from depriving personal liberty without following the due process of law. But here we have focused or we have analyzed at length, in-depth analysis has been made here about what is due process of law and section 41 of the CRPC. And not only that, we have also tried to have the difference between the procedure established by law versus due process of law, and the procedure established by law, what it means, and about the due process of law. So it is very crucial information for prelims as well as mains examination. Even it is crucial in issues in governance and polity of the mains general essay paper 2. Now we'll get into the another news, which the government is now ready to, or union government has informed the Supreme Court that it is agreeable or it has agreed to give the UPSC aspirants who have exhausted the chance on October 4th the preliminary examination because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, and it has informed that UPSC aspirants will be given another chance who have exhausted their last chance. And the government says that it is, that is, agreeing to give the UPSC aspirants and chance who have exhausted their entire all the chances is an ex gratia, one time, and a restricted relaxation. And it is will be, those people will be appearing in the civil services exam 2020 who have got or who have been a last permissible attempt because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. Now it will be given a chance to them. And the note of the union government has also said that the candidates whose number of attempts had not exhausted cannot avail. Please do understand. That means who have exhausted the chance have been given agreeable, or they have given agreed by the union government, which has been informed to the Supreme Court. But the number of attempts who have not exhausted cannot avail, but who have exhausted can only avail. This relaxation announced by the union government and the extent which has been prescribed shall be a one-time relaxation to the candidates who have exhausted their chances, and they can appear for CSE 2021. And this one-time relaxation, which is an ex gratia one-time restricted relaxation, shall not be treated as a precedent. That means that it will be used, or it is a welcome note, or it is will be used time and again. Here a good news is that the union government has agreed the UPSC aspirant who have exhausted the chance while they have given the preliminary exam on October 4, 2020. And another news is that Pfizer India withdraws vaccine application. Here it has withdrawn, that is Pfizer India has withdrawn its application with India's Drug Controller General of India, that is DCGI, which gives a permission to allow the vaccine to go ahead, that is trials to go ahead. And an expert committee of DCGI has declined. Here we know that Pfizer India has withdrawn its application, but what is the reason that Pfizer India has withdrawn the application from DCGI is that an expert committee of DCGI has declined to approve the vaccine. Why? Because the reports of palsy, anaphylaxis and severe adverse events after the vaccine's approvals were still not clear, in which have been taken up in few countries, and that is why an expert committee of DCGI has declined the approval of the vaccine, that is Pfizer in Pfizer India in India. And this Pfizer BioNTech mRNA vaccine, this is mRNA vaccine which Pfizer India along with biotech is now going ahead with the novel technology. So this novel technology is that a small piece of genetic material from the coronavirus, from the virus, that is called as messenger RNA, that is mRNA, M ribonucleic acid, and that is used to make vaccine for the coronavirus. And this is novel technology which is being used by Pfizer BioNTech, that is mRNA, messenger ribonucleic acid. And the phase 3 efficacy trials in America of Pfizer has shown 95%, and the Pfizer BioNTech, that is the Pfizer which has been approved in United States, United Kingdom and European Union, has also applied in India for going ahead with the emergency use listing condition. The keyword here is the usage, or Pfizer has applied for the vaccine to be used in India only on the basis or the condition of emergency use listing. And another news which talks about is the keyword is over the top platforms. So you have the various platforms over the top, that is for example Netflix and Amazon Prime, and 21 MPs, member of parliaments, have sought an answer from the union government about the content on over the top platforms such as Netflix and Amazon Prime. Why? Because MPs have questioned and it is seeking an answer from the government, and it is asking that whether the center is aware that the over the top platforms, what kind of content is present in the over the top platforms. And it says that the content is of sex, violence, abuse, vulgarity and disrespect to religious sentiments, and therefore the MPs have sought an answer from the government over the content of over the top platforms such as Netflix and Amazon. And in turn, the government, that is Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar, has said that the ministry would soon come up with a regulatory code on the content. Here the keyword is regulatory code on over the top content or over the top the platforms, for example Netflix and Amazon Prime. And these guidelines which the regulatory code would have by the ministry is expected to make public in a week's time. And the ministry has said that currently in India there are around 40 over the top platforms which are operating in India, and the government first step which it has taken to come up with a regulatory code on the content has immediately amended the allocation of business rules in November 2020. And when it has amended the allocation of business rules as a first step towards a regulatory code on the content of over the top platforms, it has brought, or it is bringing all online platforms under the mandate of the INB ministry, and all the online platforms have to register with the ministry. First is it has amended the allocation of business rules in the year November 2020, and it is bringing all the online platforms under the mandate of INB ministry, and they should not only just be under the mandate but they should also register with the ministry. And the ministry has said that they had several rounds of consultation with Internet and Mobile Association of India, wherein the ministry is impressing upon the Internet and Mobile Association of India that there is a need for an appropriate self-regulatory mechanism. Here, self-regulatory mechanism is the need of the hour, which the ministry is impressing and having several rounds of consultation with Internet and Mobile Association of India, wherein it is a framework for the regulatory code on the content of over the top platforms, which is really causing a concern that it is having a negative impact, because the content of the over the top platforms such as Netflix and Amazon Prime, with sex, violence, abuse, vulgarity, and disrespect to religious sentiment, is certainly to be monitored and regulated. Here, this information is in regards to the information and technology for the prelims as well as mains perspective. Sorry. And you have a report from the Association for Democratic Reforms, ADR. So when there is a report, it is necessary that you have to focus this from prelims as well as mains perspective, because it is also used for issues in governance, as this is an association for democratic reforms democratically, which is necessary, is the agenda of the association democratic reforms, that is ADR. And according to the ADR, only 78 out of 2301 registered unrecognized political parties are available in the public domain for or in the year 2018-19. I repeat, as per ADR report, only 78 out of the entire 2301, that is 2301 registered unrecognized political parties are available in the public domain. And as per the ADR report, only 82 parties of the 2301 for 2017-18 are uploaded on the website of the respective chief electoral officers or the respective state chief electoral officers website. Out of 2301, only 78 are available in the public domain for year 2018-19, and out of 2301, only 82 registered unrecognized political parties for 2017-18 are uploaded in the respective state chief electoral officers websites. This is as per Association for Democratic Reforms report. And the number of the registered unrecognized political parties have increased twofolds in the last 10 years. That is, if we focus in the year 2010, the registered unrecognized political parties were 1112, but comparing it with 2019, it has increased to 2301. And this is the concern in the democratic, that is in regards to the political parties or recognized political parties, unrecognized political parties, registered unrecognized political parties. And the figure of the ADR shows that there is a spike disproportionately during the parliamentary elections, because there is a twofold increase of the recognized or registered unrecognized political parties, comparing it with 2010 to 2019 twofold, and the spike is disproportionate during the parliamentary elections. That is, when we compare it with 2018-19, it has increased by over 9.8 percentage. But when we focus at 2018 and 2014, it is increased or it has increased by 18%. That means during the parliamentary elections last 2014, the increase of the political parties from 2010 to 2019 has increased a last from 9.8 to 18%, comparing it with 2014 to 2019. And there are 2,360 political parties which are registered with the Election Commission of India. Please do understand here. Here we are focused that there are 2,301 registered unrecognized political parties. I repeat once again, there are two keywords: registered unrecognized political parties. And again, as per the ADR report, there are 2,360 political parties which are registered with the Election Commission of India. And out of 2,360, 2,301 or 97.50 percentage of the entire 2,360 political parties which are registered are unrecognized. Please do understand, registered is a keyword, unrecognized is a keyword. That is why we spoke about registered unrecognized political parties. They are registered, but they are not recognized. When does a political party which is registered is recognized? Is the question mark. When does a political party which is registered is recognized? Because as per the ADR, there are 2,360 political parties which are registered with the Election Commission of India, but out of them 2,301 are unrecognized. That means 2,301 are registered unrecognized political parties in India. So when does a political party be not recognized even though they are registered with the Election Commission of India? It is when either a newly registered party or those which have not secured enough percentage of votes in the assembly or general elections to become a state party, or those registered parties have not contested in the elections even though they have registered, then they would be considered as unrecognized political parties. I repeat once again, when does a political party which is registered is not recognized? Because when they do not secure enough percentage of votes in assembly or general elections to become a state party, or when they have never contested the elections even though they have registered, then they are considered as unrecognized parties. So here the keywords are crucial for prelims as well as mains examination. And the another keyword is Election Commission of India. Political parties which are registered, political parties which are registered but unrecognized, political parties which are registered and recognized are the keywords which you need to understand, which the report has come up by the Association of Democratic Reforms. And the report also analyzed the ADR as declared that there are various donations, that is 6,860 donations worth 65.65 crore during 2018-19 and 6,138 donations which constitutes or amounts to 24.6 crore of rupees in the year 2017-18. Not only the ADR has focused on the registered unrecognized political parties, registered parties, political parties with the Election Commission of India, but it has also mentioned about when a political party is registered but not recognized. And along with that, it has also focused on the keywords, that is donations or contributions by the political parties. And Apna Desh Party of Uttar Pradesh has declared the highest donations for both financial years, that is 2017-18 and 2018-19 with 65.63 crores of rupees. That means Apna Desh Party of Uttar Pradesh has having or had highest donations. And state-wise, there are 653 parties which belongs to Uttar Pradesh. 653 political parties, and then followed by 291 parties from Delhi and 184 parties from Tamil Nadu. Thereby, these political parties, they received donations or contribution from various individuals or organizations which the political parties use the funds. This is for, even you can use this information what we have discussed about the report of ADR in the reforms in election process in India, because we need to even check the donations or contribution to the political parties. Look at it, the political parties donations, the amount which is amounting to. It is crucial that you follow the report of ADR. And there is another news which talks about that in the budget 2021, the finance minister has spoken about the disinvestment, and it has also spoken about the disinvestment policy, which is the new disinvestment policy which has been announced in the budget 2021 by the finance minister. And it has also specified that the new disinvestment policy will have 4 strategic sectors where bare minimum public sector presence would be retained. That means there is a necessity that disinvestment is the need of the hour, but there is that a need public sector firms which are engaged in activities such as allied to the farm sectors or allied farm sectors, such as provision of seeds to farmers or procurement and distribution of food for the public distribution system. These 3 activities which are allied farm sectors, which are public sector firms which are engaged, will not be up for disinvestment or will not be for sale, under the new disinvestment policy which has been announced in the Union Budget 2021. That is, it has also announced that there would be an annexure to the new disinvestment policy, which it has listed out the types of public sector entities that will remain outside the ambit of new disinvestment policy which has been announced in the budget, and the public sector firms which are allied to the farm sectors will not be up for sale as per the new disinvestment policy. And this is, you have it an annexure to the disinvestment policy which talks about the public sector entities which will be remaining out of the ambit of the new disinvestment policy. Here the keyword is the new disinvestment policy for strategic sectors and the public entities which have been remained outside the ambit. And the Niti Aayog is now recommending, and it is in charge of recommending that which would be under the public sector entities which would be not for sale and which would remain out of the disinvestment policy. Who would have or who would be in charge? It is the Niti Aayog, and this is again for prelims perspective. So it is recommending that the firms in strategic sectors should be retained, and it is recommending that it is for consideration for privatization or mergers. Niti Aayog is also recommending for subsidiarization with another public sector firms, or just simply close it. And here the DIPAM, that is Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, shall move the proposal for obtaining in principle from the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs for strategic disinvestment of a specific public sector entities, and that would be from time to time on a case to case basis. Here I repeat once again, it is the DIPAM, that is Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, which will initiate a proposal for obtaining in principle from, and who would give the permission of for the proposal. It is the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs for strategic disinvestment of the any particular specific public sector entities, and that would be considered from time to time on a case to case basis. And this, the one who is in charge of recommending is Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is the one which is the keyword that you need to focus. Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, strategic disinvestment, and from time to time on a case to case basis. This is focus on the economy, focusing on the new disinvestment policies for strategic sectors. DIPAM, Niti Aayog, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs are the keywords which you need to focus. And I hope this session was informative, knowledgeable, and we have focused at length from mains and prelims perspective, both from polity, economy, and also in regards to information and technology. So I would say a very big thank you to all. Good luck, and then do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule, take care of your physical health and mental health, and do not forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe the English Medium AKS IAS YouTube channel, and also have access to the website and Telegram link of Advanced Knowledge System. And see you again with DNA, Daily News Analysis, at AKS IAS Academy. And then I would say a big thank you to all. Thank you. Goodbye. Take care.